date today is May 28th, 2013. The time is 6:39 p.m. Geary Ciccarone.
Here.
Surrette.
Present.
Steve Wachowski. Jim Freeman. Rob Collins.
Here.
Ed Comeau.
Here.
Rich Zacher.
He may come later.
And, excuse me. Dick, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, my mind's not working. I just forgot your last name. I'm
Peckham.
sorry.
Peckham.
Dick Peckham. Sorry about that.
I thought it was just me.
You think you're sitting tonight, will you fill in?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the selectmen voted for Dick to be an alternate to the board, but they're not legally allowed to do that. That's our prerogative. Mr. Chairman, I move that we make Dick Peckham an alternate to the planning board with a 3-year term.
I second it.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I think we will appreciate greatly Dick's
Yep.
participation and knowledge and help on this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You're now officially appointed. I don't think you need to get sworn in again. I just think the appointment was something to keep it kosher.
Yeah.
Terrific. Now, will you sit in for Steve or
Sure.
Jim or someone? Thank you. I didn't bring the letter with me. We're going to start out with announcements, correspondence, and mail. A letter from SRPC. Oh, did you have it?
That's
So in the box.
Oh, that's two then?
A letter from us.
the one that you're handing is to Cynthia Cook. Not from.
No, this is from the Brookfield Planning Board. We received a letter from SRPC. Oh, you brought it. Very nice, George. You're right up on top of stuff. I even never got into that building today. I'm hectic. I'm going to read it. It's addressed to me, Geary Ciccarone, Town of Brookfield, 260 Wentworth Rd. Dear Mr. Ciccarone, Strafford Regional Planning Commission is enclosing an invoice in the amount of $808.49 for the fiscal year 2014 dues. If you have any questions about the amount due, please give me a call and I'll be happy to discuss it. If you will not be submitting payment, please sign the statement at the bottom of this letter and email it or mail it back to me so I may document our records. We appreciate your continuing business and I look forward to hearing from you shortly. Sincerely, Tammy Butt, Finance Manager, Strafford Regional Planning Commission. This signed statement is to the town of Brookfield selectmen voted to refrain from making payment to. I don't remember the board of selectmen doing that. I don't think it's their purview either, but I'll find it out again. I didn't know it at one time for sure. Payment to Strafford Regional Planning Commission for FY 2014 membership dues of $808.49 respectively signed, and that will be just me, Chairman. And there's the invoice. And we opted out last time.
Did they respond to our letter with an invoice?
Well, I think it's just a billing period.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we decline to pay that invoice. The 2014 invoice from SRPC.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
This is what we've done in the past because
It'll be our second year.
is buying us one extra vote.
Why is it extra vote?
You're declining to pay.
Correct. Considering what their apparent agenda is, that's how most of the members of this board are inclined think, at this time, or were last year. And we're going to find out if the people who were there are inclined to do the same this year in a few minutes. But, there's another issue that we're going to talk about this document.
I mean, being the representative to the RPC for Brookfield, over the past year, I don't believe there's been one project or one reason for us to, use their services. That was one reason. The second reason is they have not been too receptive to including us. I don't know if I should go into what happened at the last SRPC meeting when they all voted to dock points off of a algorithm for area projects for non-dues paying members. Now I voted no, the rest of them said yes, but I thought it was unfair because, they talk about social justice and you have some communities that cannot afford to spend that money. And they should be penalized for it.
Question. Explain dock points off algorithm to me.
Well, there's a program for prioritization of the projects. And if you don't pay, they give you maybe 1 to 10. And if you don't pay, then they dock 5 points off of that total. So the algorithm is going to possibly put one of your projects at a lower priority than somebody that pays it. So if there's a rich community next to you that's paid over the dues, there will be 5 points above you on your project. But that would not include projects that are going to affect both parties. It's just a single one. Like we wanted to do something about the intersection out here. That would take less priority because we don't pay dues.
So that seems completely backwards from the rest of their philosophy. I think they should be adding points. Probably, I think the communities that are not paying the dues, because money is tight, are those underserved people they're supposed to be favoring, not hindering. So, it seems completely backwards.
Now, I've contacted DOT, because that prioritization information has to go to DOT, and they have to put it into their state priority list. And I'm not quite sure that it's even legal and ethical to dock communities, especially when the feds have a very precise method of making sure things are fair. And I haven't received an answer back to it yet, but I don't even know if they can legally do it yet. But they have passed it.
Well, that might be a question for the town attorney about the legality of these things. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this tonight, but
One more quick question, just for clarification. The amount of dues, is that the same for every community, or do
No, just by population.
okay.
There's a list, and there's a list. I think Dover of RBC will pay 19 to 27,000.
Okay.
Could I inject something?
absolutely.
If you ever have any business to do with DOT, call on our local governance councilman, Ray Burton. He will get it done. I wouldn't even bother with SRPC. Ray Burton will get it done.
And it would seem that SRPC, that would be our major.
But the SRPC exists by charter from the state of New Hampshire,
Right.
and they're funded by the state of New Hampshire.
Is that exactly true?
I believe it is,
They're funded by
at least partially.
the state. They're funded by the federal government. That's almost 80 to 85%, and the rest is membership fees. Membership fees from towns.
But from the federal government, is it HUD or directly from the treasury?
That's a whole other addition to it. Any grant money that comes in that they apply for goes to the Regional Planning Commission, so that is added income, that's that money.
But my question is, this point system, is that homegrown? Is it under a RSA? Where did that come from? I never heard of it.
I think that those, my understanding is those appointed people, not elected people, but appointed people just decided, and the career bureaucrats decided that this was the way to go.
Let
The
me-
SRPC bureaucrats?
Well, let me explain. The DOT uses a computer program called Decision Lens. Decision Lens is it's an algorithm program that you get input from all different people, engineers, the community, the staff of the SRPC, the commissioners down there. And they prioritize the list of important projects, and there's a lot of projects, and there's not enough money to pay for them, so they have to prioritize. That list gets set aside. The SRPC has its own algorithm, and that's what they came up with themselves. Their people came together. I don't know how it works, but it's a common algorithm to use by getting inputs, again, from different what they call stakeholders, engineering, other planners, communities, and they put their own priority list together and then send that to DOT.
And this is probably weighted by input from Dover and Rochester?
What
do you
is
think?
they all have a button. It looks like a remote, and you have selections on here. And then when the priority comes up, each group of people is asked to push a button on what they think the priority should be. Somebody who's an engineer who does bridges will have a different priority idea of somebody that wants to do environmental protection. So they choose that, and then the algorithm will choose what the priority list is. It's actually very accurate, and I had asked them, is there any way to fudge the numbers? And they said pretty much not. They have an algorithm that will, if one person keeps changing their mind, it somehow picks it up. But that's the priority. There's one for the SRPC that they do, and there's one the DOT does. The one they adopt the 5 points off of is their own algorithm. And I was the only dissenting vote.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've recently reviewed the RSA that creates and governs the RPCs, and there's a very short list of duties that they've got. I've got it right in front of them. And there's 2 documents, and including their duties, there are 2 documents they are required to produce and keep up to date. One is the regional housing assessment, and it needs to be updated every 5 years. That was last produced in 2009, so that's still up to date. It's good through the end of 2014. By the end of 2014, we need to have that renewed or redone, updated. And the other is the regional master plan. This is RSA 3647 is where the RPCs are created. The other document is the regional master plan, which also needs to be updated every 5 years. SRPC most recently did the regional master plan in 2005, so it was due to be updated in 2010. I, via email, conversed with somebody named Matt down there, who responded very quickly, no complaints there, but basically, said that yes, the 2005 is the most recent regional master plan, and that they are in the process of updating that with a target date at the end of 2014 for that to be complete. So basically, we're planning on being 4 years late on a 5-year cycle. And I for one, I can't imagine what they've been doing for the last few years. Like, leading up to 2010, when it's one of their 3 or 4 duties they're supposed to do. I don't know what they were thinking that in 2008 or 2009 they weren't making this a top priority and getting it done on time. I mean, this is not, the RSAs haven't changed since in 2004. The particular RSA hasn't changed since 2004. I don't know what the leadership down there is doing or thinking about it. They're not doing what the RSA say they're supposed to do.
He goes to the meetings. It'd be a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
not will it be 5 years?
Or
Is that-
sooner if desired.
Right. So it has to be at least every 5 years. They can do it every year if they wanted to, is the way I read that.
Now, you had asked, what are they doing?
Well, what do they fill their agenda with 90% of the time when they're not doing what the RSA says?
Transportation projects, and since the crash of 2008, they have been running on a continuing resolution from Congress. So their money has been extremely tight. DOT reminded them over and over, we can't keep doing these special projects because the trend line is going down. We have to keep the infrastructure up. We can't spend the money. If you saw the pages of the priority list and noted that they can only go through the first 2 pages. So there's no money left over.
How many pages?
I don't have exactly.
Like 10 or 12 or 20 or 30?
It's at least 25 pages. And on the page, it'll be a spreadsheet like this, and the first 2 pages will be in blue, because that's how much money they have, and the rest of them, they can't do.
This is the 10-year DOT plan?
It's the 10-year transportation improvement program
For the state?
for the state.
Yeah.
So it's probably the money part. I can't speak to any managerial issues or internal structural problems that they might have. I really don't know. But that seems like that is the biggest problem is the money.
Can you raise the issue of the regional master plan and the tardiness of the update with them? Just can you say that it came up at your planning board meeting and there was concern about that?
Oh, absolutely.
Ask them what the cause of it is and how expensive is that to the New Jersey. That might be the money problem too. It may not be that simple a thing to produce that.
Now, it's sent over an email now with the documents.
Yeah.
So it actually has the RSAs that cover the authority and the, what started the SRPC in the state, but it also has the statewide plan, it has the housing needs assessment, and the latest regional master plan. So these are the 3 documents that you can actually read up and see. This is what guides the regional planning commission, this structure right here. Most of everything they do, including current state future, is all driven by putting together a regional master plan. And it's all governed by this document. So we're doing everything by law. So,
Just like,
That brings us to
yes, I would ask that.
this letter they're asking you to sign. I'm the chairman, but I really believe that it's, I'm only the chairman, not the king of the planning board. So I think whether we send this letter back or not, or reply with a signature, and there's some reason for that, I'm not sure what it is. It definitely is not for accounting, because I understand accounting well enough to know that is not a requirement and can't possibly be a requirement. The signature is, for whatever reason it might be, of denial of participation with dues. The town attorney said we have absolutely no obligation to sign that document and send it to them. And that was the last time this was requested.
I recall in the document that MP said they asked me to sign it. They were putting words in my mouth. The signature was answering a question.
there was a statement on the letter that they were asking the signature to affirm, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So I would feel comfortable with us just telling them we're not planning to pay, because as a courtesy, they have to plan their expenditures, and it's a courtesy to them to know you're not going to get the $800 this year from Brookfield, right? I mean, there's no reason for us not to tell them that and let them know the outcome, if that's the outcome of the motion that's on the floor, right? I think that I don't think we need to be signing any statement to that effect or any other statement for that.
I want everybody's view on that.
I agree. I think a note just declining to pay is sufficient.
Last year, I relayed to them verbally that they will not be receiving payment.
multiple requests for a signed affidavit for whatever reason. I wouldn't go into that. I'm gonna read this letter from Brookfield Planning Board, Strafford Regional Planning Commission to them. Dear Cynthia Copeland, as you're aware, the Brookfield Planning Board has requested an SRPC provide a presentation of the Grand State Future Agreement. This request has been made verbally and in writing to your office. To date, there has been no response. We have the Brookfield Planning Board would suggest you consider the magnitude of your decision to ignore our request. Did you write this, Geary?
Yes.
According to RSA 3647, number 4, Regional Planning Commission shall make a good faith effort to inform and respond to the local communities regarding the purposes and progress of their work in developing the regional development plan. Additionally, the Brookfield Planning Board formally requests a copy of the most recent comprehensive plan for development is referred to in RSA 3647-3, and a copy of the regional housing needs assessment as referred to in RSA 3647-2. We value your work for the community and take heart that this oversight will be corrected wherever you respectively submitted. It's good letter.
Read the CCs as well.
The CC is to the Brookfield Selectmen, Department of Justice, Office of the Attorney General, and Attorney Law Inspector. Well, you can opt to pay dues anytime you want.
And if you need their services, you can pay for each individual item too.
Correct.
Or something.
Yeah, the RSA's say that they have to do that.
So, whether I sign or do not sign as chairman of a group of guys that are in charge of this, I would like everybody's opinion on it. And I've got two.
Mr. Chairman?
My opinion is the same. I don't see any reason to send them a signed affidavit. I will call them personally, and Ed can relay the same information verbally.
I think that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, it's interesting here that it states each municipality which shall become a member of a regional planning commission shall be entitled to representation. You mean it isn't automatic that everybody is a member?
We have to, I think we have to pick one. We have to.
Well, it doesn't say, it says of a regional planning commission, and we used to be with LRPC, and then when Ann Martin was chairman, we changed because Wakefield, we have a relationship with Wakefield, and Wakefield was a member of SRPC, so we went with SRPC. But to me, can they remove us from the rolls if we don't pay? I mean, is paying the dues mandatory for being a member? I don't know.
No, you're a member no matter what.
I would think so, but it says,
You just get 2 seats, I think.
if
instead
we
of one.
shall become a member.
Yeah.
As I understand it, we have 1 seat or vote, so to speak, and we
Anyway.
would get an additional one if we paid our dues.
Oh, okay.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And by law, every municipality in the state has to belong.
Well, that's what I thought, because they receive tax money.
Well, it'd be interesting to get the response to this.
I think, as you say, a no to something is, I wouldn't sign it.
I don't want to do it either, but listen, I want the board's input.
Yeah.
Those kind of decisions should be made by the members of the board. Okay?
Now, since I was appointed to be representative to the SRPC, I did try very hard to get them to come here to do the Grand State Future presentation. The answer I was given, which is, I believe is on videotape, is that they had an open house, we could have attended, they did not need to come to the town. The second thing I heard was that we had already made our decision, and she wasn't going to come.
We have already made our
We had
decision.
already made our decision about the Grand State Future, and she was not going to come here and do the presentation.
I don't remember a single motion or vote about Grand State Future.
Now, it was my responsibility as your representative to bring the information here so you knew what was going on, which I had, I believe, 1 or 2 presentations about the Grand State Future. And I wanted to get, the whole plan out, and I wanted them to come down and do their side of it. Because I was actually blocked from actually going to their training. So,
Does everyone here agree with this letter
Yes.
in scope?
Mr. Chairman, there's, not disagreeing with the letter, but there is a motion on the floor that letter is not exactly used, right?
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Motion about paying dues.
Yeah, that is true. All right, let's go there. We're discussing it. Anybody else? Well, all in favor of paying the dues to SRPC?
No, the motion is to not pay.
Yeah.
Was that it? I don't remember. Okay, the motion to not pay SRPC. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? We will not be paying the dues to SRPC then. Now,
Wait.
go on.
A motion to the form of a courtesy call verbally or a letter to SRPC. Have you moved the thing?
I'm going to make a call as chairman, and I'm going to have Ed as representative say the same thing.
So the action will be, from the prior motion, the outcome of that is going to be, you're going to make a call, you're going to talk to them at the meeting.
Do I want to call Cynthia?
So it's verbal notification.
Is that who I want to talk to?
Whoever wrote you the letter, I would call them.
she's the executive director,
Well, the finance manager is the person that wrote the letter, and I'm not too sure that that's the only person you want to talk to. But maybe. How about this letter that I read? Does anyone think it's a little too strident, or?
I would go further, but I think it's I'm not the most tactful person here, so I think it's great, as is.
I read the letter and I think it's spot on. It's an upset. And that's what should be said.
No, we don't need a vote on this. We all are in agreement. Well, let's take a vote. I move that we send this letter.
Second.
Any other discussion? You want to read it again? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Well, George, say that for me. What we need to do is put a copy in the file. I'll sign it when she sees it to the people. That's the key. Anything more on this, anybody? Okay. Let's go on to the review of the minutes for April 22nd. You probably gave it to Geary.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes from April 22nd, 2013 as written. I did take a few minutes.
I read them on the computer, so.
Yeah, I took a few minutes to read through this carefully, and, you know, I could not see any problems with the hundreds of motions that were.
Yep. I didn't see anything that was ever thought. Did you move to accept?
I move to accept. I don't know if it was a
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I wasn't here, so I'll abstain.
Abstention.
Second.
Okay. We have a quorum, oh, anyway. Wait a minute.
We have a quorum to meet.
Yes.
All we need is.
Yep, you're right.
right.
Let's, put this one to bed now. We have the 13th.
accept the minutes of May 13th, 2013 as written.
I'll second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Under number 8, new business, Chuck Robbins, what property is that pertaining to?
I can't tell you verbally what the lot numbers were, but he showed us a map. He hasn't submitted anything anyway. It's just a feel out of the board of what we'd say. But basically, I don't know what he accomplished because there's really nothing that involves the planning board at all that I can see. He's got some issues with the state, and what it is a non-conforming lot that has a building on it that's two non-conforming lots actually, and it's a camp.
His building?
I don't know.
He owns the lot that does
Okay.
that building.
Right.
At the lake?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I know the building. Okay.
Now it's sitting on both lots. It's not.
Okay.
What he's looking for is he's going to get a flow easement from the state supposedly so they can put a septic on the other lot. And what he was asking, would we approve or disapprove, and we can't give an answer like that, a lot line change. And basically, he already is encroaching, and it would be less encroaching if you were to get the lot line change. But the state won't allow him to expand the footprint of this cabin anyway, being where it is. So it really didn't amount to too much, except he came in here, I guess, to see how the board felt about it. We really didn't.
So it's not a combining, it's a lot line adjustment.
Perhaps. He hasn't submitted anything. We don't know.
Oh. Well, I see both things referred to here, consideration of combining property, and then I see presenting a lot line adjustment application. So,
Well,
I think that he's trying to figure out what he and his neighbor
can do.
yeah.
Right, I think,
Okay.
anything's possible still at this point.
Yeah,
Who knows?
anything's possible. I believe the building overlaps on his lot.
It looks something like that.
Oh, one of those, okay.
And if you combine the two lots, they're still not conforming.
Yeah.
So he wants to adjust the lot to put that house on one lot and then give an easement for a septic system on his own lot for that house.
Okay,
Just
thank
for further information, that the lot that he owns is the larger of the two, but it has a notation on it that it is not a buildable lot. Because he's already struck half of it, I guess.
And that was done by the town a number of years ago. The town made the notation that it wasn't a buildable lot. He has another consecutive piece next door, big one, probably is buildable if the wetlands don't prevent that. But that's all another entity though.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Anything else? Read the motion again, would you, George?
Yes. Robert Collins made a motion to accept May 13, 2013 minutes as written. Edwin Comeau gives with the second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Again, I'll abstain.
Okay. Minutes going to the history page. This is that letter. New business, letter from SRPC, we've done that, okay. CIP. Let's go there. Yeah. Let's see what happened. Okay. You've been involved in all the discussions, Dick, over there, so you,
Oh, at the schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Let's take this thing and let's take it and go through it quick. Just so everybody understands what I've done here. Here's what I would like to see happen. I firmly believe that a charrette, and I not to cast aspersions on anybody's wants or dislikes, but I don't see it as being particularly productive. If you really want to get what the townspeople actually want to do and quantify that, because you get a lot of opinions nothing really. And it depends on who shows up and how many. I'm not saying don't do it. But what I'm saying is, this board has the ability to generate or to begin a generation of a questionnaire and to be tailored by the Heritage Commission and the Selectmen and then sent to the town with an envelope, stamped, return address, back. And if it's properly worded, and I want some help with that. I don't need any help with this part of it. But I want to go through this part of it so that everybody has an understanding of what has been discussed so far at these meetings we've had. Everybody's basic desire was to figure out all the different things that can be done over there, all the various options. So I'm just going to start with page 1, and I enumerated all the stuff on the side. There's a couple empty spaces with numbers in it, but it doesn't matter. At least we can go to item number such and such if we want. Anyway, there were, can we do a new building? Can we fix the old building? Can we do it in phases? If we want to demolish it, can we do it? We've got a lot of prices on a lot of things, and I've got quotes on many things, and I'll explain this shortly. And what's involved if we do demolish the building. If we demolish the building back there, get rid of it. That houses the bathroom and the utility room that heats this building. So something else has to be built in that place to do those things. Whatever it is, whatever size it is. I've got all items on just about everything that I can think of here. Okay, first page. And this has to do with Salmon Falls, too. Salmon Falls made recommendations to the town. I included their recommendations in a price analysis or cost analysis. Item number 1, excavation. Crawl space, approximately 2 feet of digging in there. It's all handwork. And there's 68 cubic yards. It would take, let's see, 160 man hours is what I figured, about a week, for 4 guys to go in there and get quite a bit of that dirt out.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Just for clarification.
Whether we do it or not.
Before we get into this, the first 4 pages to this is for the first suggestion.
Is for what?
The first 4 pages that we're about to go through, we just started. Is this for a suggestion of one of the options?
All of the options are in here, and I'm going to, that's why I want to explain them. Because you have to.
We'll just start out with a spreadsheet on page 1 with a bunch of numbers and tasks. And what is this for?
Okay, I was trying to get there.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Salmon Falls made recommendations. And whether we do the things, all that they recommended, or we don't do them, that's not our decision to make, that's the town's decision to make for one vehicle or another. Whether it's a vote from the town or the selectmen's decision based on discretionary spending of funds, that kind of, I don't even want to go there. I'm just putting numbers on things. And I would like to build a questionnaire that gets the information from people, or as many people as we can, based on this stuff here. So to build a questionnaire, you have to kind of understand it. You have to understand why the numbers are what they are, but you have to understand what they represent. I guarantee this is accurate. When I say I guarantee it, if nobody wants it, I'll do it, and Ed can supervise me, and I'd be delighted to do it for this money. But it goes out to bid. That's just the way it works. But the excavation, that's it. It would cost that much to do what Salmon Falls recommended, $5,462. Or less. It might go a little quicker. Depends on whether you hit a giant rock or you don't hit a giant rock, who knows what's in there. If you hit a giant rock, you leave it, you don't try to roll it out. Okay, we'll go with the next category from item 7 to 11, or 12 with the total, is what it will take to fix the existing foundation that's there. There's some problems with it. It's not terribly decrepit, but there are problems. Salmon Falls didn't catch that because somebody put up plastic and they didn't take it apart, and that's fine. On every one of these items, I figured man hours at $40 an hour, which is very liberal. And I'm quite sure I know how many man hours most of this stuff takes. And I added a 15% contractor's fee, which is standard in the industry, 10% for profit, 5% overhead. That's just an industry standard. That doesn't mean it has to be done for that, but that's an industry standard because the town needs reality to look at this stuff, not what they might get it done for if everything goes well. Anyway, then there's floor framing option A. That's 16 through 26. That's the Salmon Falls recommendation. It's far too complex and expensive and unnecessary. I'm sorry, it's just not necessary. And it actually won't be any stronger, it'll be less strong than the one below it, which is floor framing option B. And I've crawled all under that thing. I know exactly what's involved under there. And floor framing option B. Oh, and I do an aggregate column to the right. The aggregate is a total of what it will cost to refurbish the existing building when you get down to several pages. However, I did include floor framing option A and B in the aggregate because I would bump the price up. You're going to pick one or the other. I picked floor framing option B to add to the aggregate simply because why would you want to spend the extra $5,000 if you get absolutely nothing more for it? Or extra $4,000, excuse me. Okay, on page 2.
What is the 9223 and change under revised?
Okay, there's an option here. If you notice, I have floor joists 2x12s and 10s. One spans only 9 feet, the other spans 13. The 2x12s, and this will give you an 80 pound per square foot floor loading, which exceeds dramatically what the fire department will allow in square footage occupancy. So it's more than enough. At any rate, the 2x10s and 12s are Douglas fir or PT Southern Yellow Pine. The prices here for Douglas fir, the Southern Yellow Pine pressure treated, is $285.12 more than the Douglas fir, and I added that $285 for the pressure treated. In the event that they decide they don't want to spend $5 grand digging the dirt out of there, the pressure treated will be there long after everybody in this room and our kids and their grandchildren will be dead. So.
Okay, that's just added to.
That's just added to the 89, 38, 27, that one in the aggregate column.
Okay.
And the total difference between the Southern Yellow Pine and that. Okay.
So that's the difference between the Doug fir and the...
Southern Yellow Pine, correct. The pressure treated, right.
And Southern Yellow Pine is pressure treated?
Yeah, that's the only one that's pressure treated.
Okay.
Next page, insulation. I got all these quotes already from Superior Insulation. They do most of my work. Far less money than Salmon Falls said it was going to be, and they use these products and they're superb, and you can see what they are, they're self-explanatory. The insulation, floor insulation option A and B. A is without the spray. They recommended 10 inches, R10 foam underneath, and they wanted us to use a different variety of foam. This stuff is very eco-friendly stuff. This is good. It doesn't have toxicity to it. And you get an R22 instead of an R10 value out of it. It's a closed cell, so it's not, can't be debilitated by moisture or water. And it also encapsulates the wood. Anyway, install prices for all this is listed to the right. However, up here it was regular R30 unfaced fiberglass vats in the floor with rigid insulation, tongue and groove underneath, that would be caulked and attached to the underside of the joists to prevent moisture penetration. That would be a higher R value, but not as good in a lot of ways. So there's a difference. I picked the better job because the price isn't enough to matter. It's only $400 roughly. So I picked that to put in the aggregate column in the floor insulation option, or option B. Roof truss framing insulation, I don't care what they say in that plan. If you go up in this room, and I can take you up there, the trusses that were fabricated there, there's only 9 of them, were fabricated out of 1x8 sawn lumber. 1x7 actually. It's sawn lumber, it's not a standard truss cord web. It's a 1-by, it's not a 2-by. I mean, you have to go up there to appreciate what I'm saying. It is inadequate, and it's, by today's standards, it's grossly inadequate. It hasn't fallen down, granted, but that doesn't mean if you're gonna rip the ceilings down and do nothing with that, it's kind of foolish. Now, that's not the most expensive part of what's going on back there. If you read all these, plywood, screws, strapping, electric drywall, insulation, this includes all the insulation, and all the installation of all, so the trusses back there are 10 feet apart. And then they put straddles between the two trusses with some kind of thing to hold up the roof, and it is got a few sags in it, despite what they said in the report. Point is, that's probably comes to, oh, I don't know, $800 to fix that, plus labor. And there's labor here for framing, which is another $2,400, because it's time consuming. But to put all those trusses up to code, and actually it would exceed code, it's not very costly. All the rest of the items here have to do with the drywall, the insulation. There are miscellaneous figures thrown in here for the oversights, and taping and painting, priming. So roof truss framing, ceiling, insulation, drywall, etc. encompasses the entire building except for the shingles from the top of the walls up to the ridge. Done, finished, for $11,416.44 with sheetrock, insulation, etc. And electric lighting. There's 12 lights in here, $2,000. That's more than necessary. But there may be other work to do up there. It would be less. I ran this by my electrician. It's way less. You'll see these figures appear in different places here because depending on what option everybody picks, it will be the same cost. The dumpster is what it is. And I got a quote from Casella. Schoolhouse wall option A. Remember we discussed all this stuff, Dick. The walls, gut the walls above the wainscot.
Yeah.
Or take the whole wainscot out. It's either option A or option B. They're self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but they do. You know, it's either option A or B if you're going to do them. Leave the wainscot, gut the whole thing, or leave the wainscot gut from the wainscot up and fill what's behind with pour in place Demolac foam, which will tighten that building up. There will be no air leaks. Okay. Included in that are the windows, and the window price for those, replacement of all those windows are, and this is very liberal. This is because I know not everybody's going to want to put vinyl windows back there. Some people may want to have wood windows. This covers that. If they would go to a vinyl window with wood casings on the interior and wood jambs, we're going to knock a couple of $1,000 off that. But I didn't go there because let everybody else go there. That's the town's decision, not mine. So that's self-explanatory. That's down to item 116, and the total is $19,183.23, and that's schoolhouse wall option B because they're going to replace the wainscot. That's going to cost more money, but there'll be less labor. The electrics are $200 higher on wall option A because the electric will have to work a little harder to get the outlets down behind the wainscot. A couple $100 more. I mean, I can read, if anybody wants to know more about this, I'll take the time. I don't want to spend a bit too much time on this tonight. But I can explain it exactly, and I'm probably going to be doing it a lot. So, anybody got a question, shut me up and I'll go there.
All right, just a real quick one.
Yep.
The painting labor.
Yep.
Is that included in the amounts that are shown here, or is there a separate line I'm not seeing for paint labor?
Right here, you can paint, ceiling, upper walls, wainscot. There's the labor right there. Labor,
Okay, got it.
Okay. When I did replacement of the building, I did a whole lot differently. You'll see. And there's a reason. Okay, the next page, 119 through 134, is a bathroom. I broke that down and made it a separate entity because no matter what we do back here, the bathroom is going to be a ticket we're going to buy. So it's redundant in every one of the different options we have, but it's the bathroom, and, well, I figured 18 different ways, it is what it is. And that includes the handicap sink, toilet, shower, electrical, hot water heater, which is the Renai tankless, which is really what we need to be doing back there. It's the cheapest way to go. Handicap accessories, door, floor tile, and paint. Pretty much gives you a bathroom. You know, I can get more elaborate and put stuff on the walls, but, you know, I recommend that they heat the schoolhouse with a high heater. I mean, this room has got its historical value, but that room doesn't have any at all inside. And it's the cheapest way to go. Plus, we save a ton of money with the ductwork underneath. If we take it out and put it back, we're going to spend the same $2 grand taking the ductwork out and putting it back in the labor. And we still have the decrepit 70% or 65% piece of junk that's heating that room in there now, instead of a 90% efficient Renai, which will do the job, especially with all the insulation. Anyway. So the gas piping down below is $1,200, and that's to pipe that and the hot water heater and the Renai. Next page, new building, existing foundation.
We stop for a second.
But I missed something, go ahead.
This first group of pages we went through, this is to restore the schoolhouse.
That's to restore the schoolhouse.
In accordance with Santa Claus.
No,
I mean-
no.
No, it's to restore the
In accordance
schoolhouse.
to what the town wants,
Okay.
what the people want to do. Santa Claus has got nothing to do with it.
Okay, you mentioned Santa Claus a couple of times.
Because they made recommendations, and I priced out their recommendations, although.
Okay, some of Santa Claus recommendations are in here.
Of course, because they were accurate and.
So this bottom line here, is that the bottom line at the end of the page?
To rehab the buildings, on the page, item number 134, $60,278.76.
And so rehab, that's.
Well, rehab this building turnkey finish, unless people want to add exotic marble tile to the wall in the bathroom and whatever. That will,
Okay.
but that doesn't include sanding the floor or carpet. That's another item I put it in.
That's what, when we started this at the beginning, the other options have titles, this one didn't, so this is rehab school house, the first one.
Yeah, right on there.
What's your total for that?
Pardon me?
What's your total for the rehab?
It's item number 134, $60,278.76.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's everything.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee that.
Except carpet.
Except carpet and floor. Well, it's already got a floor, and it's painted, and my suggestion would be,
You don't want carpeting in there?
well, I'm not saying carpet, that's with the existing floor. It's painted, I will go in there after you restructure the floor and sand it. I just put that in. Or paint it again, because that's what it is.
And that's the one full bathroom.
One full handicap bathroom.
Okay. One.
And that's not been designed yet, but all the studs and everything are figured into that. Back into this portion, if you look, you go back here where it says wall partitions, it tells how many studs for this, how many studs for that, that's all back on these pages. Like I said, if you want me to go in depth to all this, I will gladly do it. But that's not what I want help with. I don't screw this stuff up ever. 42 years, never made a big mistake. Cruel, tiny ones, but never big. What I need help with is how we're going to present this to the town and get the feedback from them. This we can all look at in depth later. But tonight, you know, I mean, I don't care who critiques this. They're more than welcome to do it. That's perfectly fine with me. But well, let's finish it up. New building, existing foundation. Okay, demolition, 8,000. Eddie gave us a figure on it. I also got a figure from Baldwin Excavation and Transportation of 8,000. But both gave the same bid. It's kind of unusual, but they did.
Let's take it away.
Everything going.
Okay.
Including the concrete block. Now, it should get a little less, but I put the 8 grand in there. If we save the existing foundation, although I'm not too sure that you're going to be able to take that building off that foundation without jostling some of these blocks. I've got $1,200 in here to spruce that foundation up on the existing footing, which will replace the top 2 quarters of the block and then some, all the way around it, if things take a little bit of a beating during that thing. Excavation, backfill, grading, seeding, mulch. We're gonna go in, once you take the building off the top, then we can dig out all that dirt in there with an excavator. And clean it right up nice, so you don't have this other excavation thing on the lead page. Move the dirt away and backfill everything, clean it up and do the site work later. That's including seeding and mulching. $3,000, that's more than adequate. That's a half a day job for a guy with an excavator to clean that out. And at $75 an hour, that's roughly, $500, but they get a minimum anyway. The rest of the stuff is all the wood and every single thing needed except the nails, that'll be in the miscellaneous category, to build a brand new building on that place. But we had people asking how much to do that, so we got a price on it. And that goes down to down item number 209, and that is $94,475.32. And that includes the heating, the bathrooms, and also $6,650 worth of hardwood flooring. There's a carpet option for $855 if you want to put olefin back there. But that includes the hardwood floor, pre-finished hardwood floor. And everything else is here. I mean, take them and look at it. The only thing I would ask of you, I haven't got plumbing. I'm sitting down with a plumber. This stuff, I do not want this stuff around now. Because I'm not finished with it yet, and before it goes out, I will be finished with it and satisfied. If I let everybody here keep it, I just want to promise that this doesn't get shown around. This is a members of the board for their eyes only until we sit down with the selectmen. All this completed by the time we have this meeting on the 13th or whatever it is. There may be a few minor adjustments. Then I'll care who gets it.
So, Mr. Chairman, I understand why you're saying that, but you can't. It's a public document.
Then I can collect
Mark,
my payment today.
it's still a public document.
I can
Mark,
do it.
you should mark this draft, or in the future, mark such things as draft, and just understand that, I mean, I'm not planning to spread this around, but somebody can give a 91A request asking for this document that we discussed in this meeting. You gotta give it to them.
You're
But I understand what you're saying, is that this is a draft,
It is a draft.
and that people shouldn't hold you to it.
Until I'm ready.
And I think the sentiment is correct, but I think we can't.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. No argument there. I'm just asking that we don't make a big public event out of this just for a couple of weeks, so I give the selectmen
It's a draft.
the formal copy.
It's a draft.
It's not signed, it's not paid, it's not binding.
And I'm not going to be changing the prices over here, just in anything but plumbing, because I have plumbers that are going to quote me this, so that we aren't in the flying. The electrician really told me I was dead on, except I was probably 10% high, which is always good. 10% high is better than 10% low.
So this is new building right on that foundation.
Rip it off? No, yes, it is on that foundation. Now, in the event that foundation is a total disaster, and we can't rip it apart, we can go into, from 211 to 221, what it would cost to replace that foundation. So that's an item, everybody, whoever comes in there with a backhoe to rip that building down may destroy the foundation, it's concrete block. Very, very likely it could happen. That's why I had a $1,200 fix the old block. But I would never replace it with concrete block. I would go in there and replace it with ICF forms. Insulated concrete forms, it does a lot of good for the town, that insulated concrete form. Very simple, very good, very easy to do. And the price of that would be $69.41.75. Again, I have put a 50% contractor's fee on here. I think it's more than livable. Anybody that bids more than this wants to buy a Mercedes off one job, and that's so, especially in this economy. Anyway, I also broke out the handicap ramp below that, because that'll obviously have to be replaced, and that's the handicap ramp, $23,265. No matter what we're going to be putting in a handicap ramp someplace. It may even be cheaper depending on how long we have to go. If we don't put the door on this where it is now, and it's in the back, maybe it won't be so long and so much material, but that's the thing. 241 this is the bump out. And I made it 26, which is the width of the building.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, what's the footprint on the existing?
26 by 40.
26 by
Well, 38 and feet 11 inches. Close 40.
26 by
26 by 16. I see no value in putting a bump out on this building at 12 feet. Because it doesn't get you enough of anything. It gives you a bathroom and a utility room, but you might as well go the extra 4 feet because you're buying the big ticket items of the bathroom and the utility. For the extra 4 feet, now you at least have a place back there that you can have your buffet things and the like, if they have functions at this place. Incidentally, the new building, all is comprised of attic trusses, which gives us a 10 by 40 foot long storage capability up there on a plywood floor. If the new building is done. And so is the bump out. That gives us a 16 by 10 attic storage capability.
And that plywood floor is included in the?
Yeah, that's all.
Included in the price here?
Yep, everything's there.
And how would we access that?
Well, you would have a pull down stall.
Hold on. And is that included as well?
Yeah. Under miscellaneous, there's $3,000 there.
So it's there, but not called out?
No, it's not called out. All the other doors are. And that's the end of it, the bump out. And that comes to 46,000, 421.47. Okay, you've got the gist of this. Now, once I get finished, and it's almost there, just need plumbing, we have to create a question for the folks in the town that says, folks, the schoolhouse, I mean, I write okay, and so does everybody here. Everybody's got a good mind that's sitting here. The schoolhouse needs attention. And these are the options that the selectmen have explored to do what's necessary to either preserve or remove that building from the back of town.
It should start with what the problem is, I believe.
About what?
It should start with what the problem is, schoolhouse. The people should know what's wrong with it first.
Well, it's structurally unsound. Of course, that would be the headache. The schoolhouse is structurally unsound, inadequately insulated. The pipes froze over the winter. It has assorted other problems. It's unsafe. Yeah, we can get that. Okay. That's number one.
When you say these are the options that the selectmen have explored, could you expand that and say the options, but use some names? Selectmen, Heritage Commission,
Yeah.
and Planning Board. Because
Yeah.
people are going to say, well, who else was in on this? Who else did the selectmen talk to, you know?
The members of the public as well.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
there are.
Oh, yeah.
Include that on the list of
Yeah.
Okay.
stakeholders that I had.
Explored. Okay, that's number two. We describe the problems. These are the alternatives explored by Selectmen, Planning Board, Heritage Commission, and the public. And number three would be, I would try to gild the lily a little bit with your tax dollars are going to go to work in some fashion on that building at some point. It can be said eloquently enough so that people take notice and realize that they better contribute an opinion. Maybe they'll go for the cheapest, maybe they won't. It didn't happen that way. The night we voted on it here for the building next door.
Incidentally, while you're mentioning that, did you know that Peckham passed away?
Yeah, I heard that last
Yeah,
week. Yeah,
okay.
Chris died, yeah.
Yeah, and the funeral is Saturday,
I
or
know.
the memorial service at Wakefield Congregational Church at 11.
Yeah, which is a real thing. I've committed to go to Bill Nelson's son's ordination.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's gonna be ordained a
Okay,
Catholic
well,
priest.
I just brought it up
So I don't
because
know, I'm gonna
some
try to
people
cut myself in half.
might have blown him, you know? Okay, he lived in Town Hill's house,
For years and years.
yeah. Now, there's no phasing here, this is, we decide on an option and then we have to get the money.
Well, here's the thing, this is what I figured. Tom Hill wrote up a phase thing,
Right,
but he put the cart before the horse a little bit because without this,
right,
the phase thing, it doesn't mean anything. Now we can come up with here's how much money the selectmen have in the discretionary fund. And if you get the townspeople to respond and say what they would like to do with the approximate, with the cost, not an approximate cost. Once the dollar factor, we have a fiat money, it'll be there. This quote was good for 6 months from Middleton Building Supply for materials, and the labor is more than adequate. Like I said, I'll do it. If nobody wants to bid on this rational bid, I'll do it and let Ed supervise the whole thing. Fine with me.
Well, this is good. This is exactly what you promised that you'd put together for the town. This is putting numbers on the three options that all the committees, the selectmen, and the commissioner are talking about.
Yeah.
So the next thing to do is put together this list, like you're saying, a letter to the town.
The questionnaire.
That could maybe want some input from the other factions as well. So we can put together our suggestion right now. But this is the meat of the work, because they're talking about all these different options and nobody knows what the hell they're gonna pay. Now we know.
So can we just take a minute and talk about what options we would extract from these several pages? Like, I assume there's the bump out, right? You tear that thing down, do the bump out.
That including the foundation under the book,
A
Right,
utility.
that's one of the options, right?
Yep.
So bump the
those have to go together.
We have
demolition and bump out.
options, let's call it option A is refurbish the existing building.
Yes. Roughly the
Existing building. Option B is demolish and build a bump out. And option C, being the most costly, will be replace
with like size building.
with the new building. Those are three options that I see. Now, they all can be phased. For instance, there's no reason why, even if you build a new building, there's no reason to do it all by August.
So, I've not been involved in all the thinking on this, and is there an option of not having any building back there at all? Can we have this building
No.
without a bathroom?
You gotta have a utility room,
No.
get the heaters in there.
So, I don't know what is there. The kitchen there, I don't know what's there. I'm just, I see square footage, I don't know what's there, I don't know if it's a possibility, but, I mean, if we wanted to spend the $8,000 in demolition and then $5,000 in keeping this existing footprint, is that even an option, or is that not something that?
Yeah, utilities and
You're not gonna be able to put a bathroom in there,
Utilities and heating.
and utilities in that office, it won't fit, especially if you do HCA, handicap.
utilities
Not
and,
doable.
is that one room?
No, it's two, but either one of them are adequate.
And the doors are all screwed up. If you start disturbing those doors, you're really changing the walls and so forth.
What do we use that space for now?
But was Virginia's office for years.
Yeah.
It's just
Town clerk's office,
dead space?
There's a safe in there.
just storage, yeah.
It's storage now. The only issue with it, here's a big problem. This is a historic building. That isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of can of worms that opens up going in there and making, I don't know. I suppose you could go in and gut the whole thing, make it more serviceable, the bathroom and utility room behind it. But I bet you you're gonna come close to the cost of the bump out by the time you finish. Let's see what the bump out costs. No, 46 grand for the bump out. That's with the bathroom.
No, I'm just trying to think out loud whether, like, we got bathroom over there.
Yeah, we
I'm
thought,
wondering whether
But if you have a gathering here, you have to have a bathroom here.
Okay.
Handicap,
No,
have to.
there was discussion, option, something that went around and pulling the thing back and setting it on fire. Just destroying the whole thing, filling the whole, something.
Well, but you still have to replace the heating room and the bathroom in the back of this or something.
Right.
Now, this is
So
also,
it should be made clear that pulling it back into the whole thing is gonna require a minimum of option.
well, the bump out is the most expensive one. It's going back 16 feet instead of 12. We could take $5,000 off of that, or maybe a little less, coming in at 4 feet, going 12 feet back. But if that's the choice, I don't see the value. Maybe it'd probably be less, because the 8,000 demolition is still
But if
there.
the consensus is to tear this thing out and get rid of it, we'll be required to put up at least a bump out.
Well, you gotta put a bump up back there to put
So
your
something's gonna happen, actually.
Is it possible to do something like a ramp breezeway from this building to that building and be able to utilize that bathroom without going one side and without having stairs?
Not
That
really.
probably costs us a bump.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no place on this side of the building, whatever it builds, the office, the planning board office.
Or you just go out into the back, which, where there's a little bit, to the back door. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, think out loud. It's good to think out loud.
But probably in the $40,000, like the pump up would be anyway. I don't know.
Well, you still, it's 32,000 to get rid of the foundation, demolition, maybe what it is.
That bathroom wouldn't do it anyway, because emergency management
That's the other thing.
uses this building as the shelter.
This is
And
good.
then you're required to have a handicap bathroom and handicap shower to make that
Okay,
work.
so we
So
need
it
at least
wouldn't work
option.
over there, we don't have the room.
Okay, so we need at least option A.
Right.
Okay.
Those three
Or
options, in my
option.
mind, is all we've got to work with.
Well,
So is there another, so I guess there was at least initially some talk of like not having not having it attached right to like take this off and move it someplace.
that's more expensive.
I would assume so.
Well, you still have to rehab it structurally, and then you have to build a wall that's not there.
2 walls.
2 walls, and then you have to also come up with someplace to house the utilities for this building anyway, and a bathroom here.
That's
Remove
the
it.
bump out plus the new building work. Okay.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
when we go to the bathroom, was before the schoolhouse got built.
No, I wasn't here.
This is that bush out there.
At any rate,
Okay, so I'm sorry. So I know we're not holding any to the numbers, but what are the
you can hold it to all the numbers except the plumbing.
right? But given what's on the spreadsheet, option A, refurbish existing, is how much? What's the bottom line on that?
Oh, it's right here, refurbished existing, it is right here in the aggregate column. And it's item number,
Is that 134?
I don't get that page yet, because I'm looking at the works now. Item number 134, that's $60,278.76. Brad, his argument was that if you read, a lot of people threw numbers out the other night, but that was kind of fruitless. But the idea is that if you, when you finish the 60 grand, you still got a building. Even though it's been insulated and refurbished and the interior is all redone and it's nice, you still got a 200-year-old building. But, just some people that mean something and to others it doesn't. It's not my decision, the town's gonna have to make that one. The point is, now I've got the information to make the decision with. I think it will come in a little cheaper than this. I've said that before, and I was told that I was out of my mind, and I brought that building in $4,000 cheaper than the estimated cost of construction.
When you look at the figures, there's no choice.
So if
60 grand is your best deal.
So option A, if I
No argument for me,
No,
huh?
that's where you,
If I read this properly, option A is to refurbish the existing is 60,000. Demolish and pump out, which option B, as he says, 46.5 roughly.
Yep.
Option C is 95,000. roughly?
Yeah.
No, maybe 101 if the foundation gets totally kaput, we gotta put a new foundation.
Right, when you demo.
So yeah, we're gonna spend at least 1,200 fixing the foundation when we demolish it. That's just gonna happen. I already have that figured into the price of the building. We might be able to just, to take that 1,200 off, and then therefore only add the new foundation figured in. So if we had to replace the foundation, it would in essence cost only, let me find that here. It's somewhere here. Replace foundation with 6,900, take 1,200 off that, it would be 30, or 49, what, I put 1,200 there? Yeah. Okay, it'd be 57. So it'd be 5,700 for a new foundation.
On top of the number
On top of, yes, if the foundation totally collapsed while they were taking the building off of it.
Now, do we have that same caveat on refurbish the existing?
No.
Because we've not taken it off.
No, we're not gonna take it off the
We're not
foundation.
disturbing
We're gonna repair the foundation that is there, and that's in here already. That's in the refurbishing.
So
And then-
60 grand, we got the same usable floor space as the district.
Only,
And everybody wants to save the schoolhouse, so that's the schoolhouse.
now the insulation on this, the insulation, if you go, I mean, this is gonna be super insulated. That will cost us nothing to heat. I say nothing, I use the term roofing, but,
We'll probably clear this building.
yeah, it'll be pennies compared to this joint. They have a stuff, they don't have pour in place foam, there's some great products out there, boy, they just keep coming up with them every day. This stuff is made out of soy protein of all things, but it turns into a plastic. But it hasn't got the toxicity of polycyanides, which is really nice. And once you've got the cavity out, from the wainscoting up, they have this pour-in-place stuff that only expands a little bit up to the top of the wainscoting. And then you spray foam in between the studs up above, and you wind up with an R22 in the walls. But closed cell foam, and there's no air leaks because, you know, it fills every cavity and crevice, and just pretty remarkably, I mean, this building would be tight. You'd have to open windows so the air change is necessary to sustain health.
So you can use that.
We could go in there and suffocate.
You could. You have to
Open the windows.
That's what they made them for.
Could that be used for plaster walls also, so it doesn't expand? And
Yep.
crack plaster?
Yep.
Or fold the plaster or the...
Well, the only problem with plaster, and I can go round and round with Gary on this one, when the plaster keys break, which you know what a key is. Okay, when they break, there's nothing to hold the plaster up. There's only one way to fix that unless you've got it. Now you can pull the broken plaster off and replaster it. You put new keys in and you trowel the new plaster in. But that's the only method. Or you can glue the existing plaster back to the lab and replace the keys with glue. There are no other solutions. But, you know, what do I know?
You've got new roof figured in both of these, right? To bump out the
Yep,
new
the
one
shingles are priced in there.
and the refurbished.
The biter thing is in there. Now, the refurbished, let me see, I think I didn't do that. On purpose, there's a refurbished. And I'll tell you why. I have a reason for it. For number one, look at that, refurbished. Let me say it's kind of... No, I didn't, and I didn't for a reason, and I'll tell you why. That's an item we're going to have to do to both of these buildings 2 to 4 years from now. Anyway, doesn't have to be done now.
Yeah, okay.
It's an item we would have had to cope with whether we kept
It's
the
a
building.
maintenance item.
Yep, it's a maintenance
Okay.
item.
But I mean, when you look at these three options, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck with refurbishing.
Yeah, and that's reality. I'll defend it against anybody.
So, just making sure, I mean, we're gonna get the usable square footage.
Yep.
More with this than with the existing, the option A and option B, right? Are we gonna use the square footage? Is it worth the, $15,000, whatever the difference is? I know I understand it's cheap square footage, right? But
Well, you have
as a
to,
taxpayer, I'd rather pay $0 than $15,000. But if we we actually can use the space and need the space, then it's a great deal, right?
Number one, we can't use it now.
Right, and we've got long.
And number two, we're getting short of space. So we can use the space if we refurbish it, so we can put people in there. Number three, it'll still be somewhat of a historic building. You can still call it a schoolhouse instead of an L or an additional room to this building or annex or whatever you want to call
Well, with the refurbishing, it will be every bit as energy efficient as new. Every bit. Won't make any difference whatsoever.
Well, that was my question. My question,
I know.
My question is, we've gotten along for at least the last few years, it's been unusable. It's been unsafe to go in there.
But we've used it.
But really minimally, and we've gotten by. Has it been a huge pain or a minor pain? The fact that we couldn't really use that space?
Minor.
It's actually meaningless to me. This isn't my push. But something has to be done with the schoolhouse structurally anyway, if it's gonna, or throw it away. I mean, you can't, this eventually will just rot away. And we can watch that happen and let the next generation deal with whatever it's gonna do. I don't care. I mean, those are the options. Watch it rot away or fix it. There's no other option. So what are we gonna do? If we fix it, we're gonna watch it rot away or fix it. And fixing it, these are the three options as I see it.
it. Right.
And I don't see any other alternatives to this.
Well, right now, let's look at compliance. We're out of compliance
Yep.
to this
But
building.
any of these options would get us into compliance.
Say again?
Any of the three options would get us into compliance.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I mean, if we spend the extra $15,000, get the extra square footage, we get to keep that forever. We
Yep.
can maintain it forever, paint it, shingle it forever. Which
We're
is
doing that now.
I understand, but it does, if we don't need the space, then it doesn't make sense to sign up for larger maintenance than the bump out. If we do need the space, then it's a great deal. $15,000 for that square feet is, I mean, you can't find that kind of deal.
You know the difference here between the town and the school district? In a school district, you don't get to talk this way.
Yeah.
The school board decides we need more space, and the school board goes ahead and bills. Period.
To go through a formula and follow the law in order to decide.
Period. Here we have choices.
See, what I'm saying here is that this isn't my decision or anybody individual decision. I want to give way to present this to the town and let them have a whoopee.
Give them the options.
Yeah, give them the options. It's quantified now. Here's the options. Let's build the questionnaire and get it. I firmly believe people will answer. I really do.
Yeah.
If we present it to them in the right way, that's what I want to help.
And you've got good figures.
Guaranteed, I will live by them. I'll do it. I'd love to make. Let me look at this.
Take these.
Let me read you the labor figures. I'm telling you.
Gary, nobody else questioning things.
I'd like to see these.
But I'd love to do it.
All right,
Okay.
figures.
It's a good puppy.
Now listen, all of the amounts here are the first step. The second step is when a person gets the summary or the questionnaire email, they're going to want to know what does it mean financially to them. And I was thinking, what about a chart that shows how much they're paying now and how much option A is going to raise it, how much option B is going to raise it. So each individual can see, well, what does it mean to me? But just saying
That's up to the selectmen. That's not our purvey.
we should be able to figure out how much it's going to affect.
Well, they're the budgeting.
That's up to the selectmen. They handle finance.
They're the budgeting.
They are the budget committee. Whether they borrow the money, whether they spread it out, delay construction for a year, and spread it out over 2 appropriations,
I
whatever.
hear what he's saying, though. He's saying we can still make a statement.
Yeah, but the selectmen have to do that. We can't do it.
Well, this goes to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, that's what I'm
The
saying.
planning board is giving out
We
the,
don't do it. They do it.
yeah,
That has to be put in there.
but they can still put it in.
Okay, I'm just saying the taxpayers.
This isn't coming from the planning board, period, exclusively.
Good.
But I want to give them something that they can do their job with that makes sense. Otherwise, shit never gets done. You can watch it, sit there and whine forever, and it just doesn't get done unless somebody pushes it to that point. That's all I want to do.
Well, that's, I wonder how much it's gonna cost me.
Well, it's like we have how much of discretionary fund that they can spend existing right now for things of this that they've been putting away. I think it was 630.
Who gets the best of the people who are free of it? Selectmen?
So like we have 38,000 to my knowledge that they can spend now, and then they've got another fund that they've been putting money away
Oh, yeah.
for this stuff.
Okay.
So they're not that far away from that. But then you've got this roof up here the next couple of years, and then I got a quote on that already too.
Well, I think, I mean, the good news is that these numbers aren't terribly large, right? I mean,
No, no, they're very reasonable.
Mr. Chairman,
What did we appropriate?
I have the figures to answer your question. They said, we'll send by Mr. Nelson, 35 to 50K in discretionary funds.
35 to 50, I mean, that's almost the whole job, actually.
What did we put in for this building? It was less than 100, wasn't it?
No, the building across here?
Yeah.
No, I told Tommy, you remember that? Gee, I'll never forget it. 20 people stood and said it couldn't be done for that. And you know, Bob Leonard was one.
Yeah, but what was the figure?
100, I said, I guaranteed 160.
Oh, okay.
And they came in at 156. Bob said it couldn't be done for that. So Chris Peckham and a bunch of guys got Bob to come and ask me for a job so they could watch me, to make sure I wasn't important in the town. And that was okay. Bob told me that later. He said, the only reason I'm here is why. I said, yeah, I probably figured that out. But he said, but he was in construction all his life.
I knew we needed a job. I thought that's
Chris, yeah, he told me. He said, I came here. He said, they wanted me to make sure you weren't screwing.
It was the mole.
It wasn't the money, it was the incompetence level that they wanted.
Yeah.
She's making a disaster for us for 160,000. And then he realized I was fussier than he was.
But we built that without borrowing a dime.
That's right.
We financed it through town meeting appropriation.
and we Salt Farm.
Same thing.
We did $60,000 or so over 3 years. Over 3 years.
Well,
That was,
I mean, you could go out and get a bond for it. But you don't want to do that.
yeah, this amount of money I don't usually need to.
In the refurbishment, it's fine. Forget it.
So Mr. Chairman, on option C, it's a little confusing, I think, if you have the 94.5 versus 101 or whatever it is for the foundation. I would lean toward quoting one number, like probably the worst case number, right? Assume that the foundation is screwed. And
Of course, I agree with you. I just itemize everything. That's my idea. Of course, I would put the foundation in there, the extra 5,700. It would come to approximately 100,000 and
right,
101.
whatever the number is, I would quote it.
I agree.
So there's no surprise. I mean, it might be a pleasant surprise that it comes in 5,000 under because of that.
I agree. It's just that I am anal about itemization. This is your check on your progress. This is also your ordering list. This is what keeps idiots that are working for you from cutting the wrong lumber for the wrong thing. Because it says right here what it's used for. I've never done a job without this.
Well, I think it's also a great basis for an RFP. You know, if you're going, getting people to bid on it. So here's specifically what I was thinking needs to be done, right? And
Yeah. And you don't get the beats for them. Because they really can't do that. I mean, you're telling a guy you're going to give him $40 an hour per man. Now, he's making money because he's paying that.
well, it's a bid, right? So somebody's going to come in and bid $34 an hour because he can get his guys to work for that, and he's hoping to get the project.
I'm not handing this check to the bidder. The bidder does not get their hands on it.
It's a public document.
I know, but
it's
it's
part of the
probably money right there. Yep.
But it tells, I mean, this tells specifically what you're thinking, the work that needs to be done.
Yep.
Right, and I would expect that if we can get a number of bidders, that probably, assuming that your numbers are market realistic, if that's a term, but in terms of the material, which I assume you're up to date, and in terms of the labor, and you've got everything covered here, I would think that we're going to come in under
Like I
that.
said, if nobody wants to bid it, I'll do it for that. I'd be happy to do it.
When are the selectmen going to see this spec sheet?
We got a meeting on the 13th, I think, right?
Okay.
I believe it's 13.
Should be buffed up by then.
Oh, I'm just all done. I'm just meeting Ron last. who's a plumber up on the mountain.
Yep,
Ron's a good guy.
yep.
He knows what he's doing. He's very reasonable. He plumbed this house for me. And he's gonna sit down with me and go over all this and make sure that my numbers are good. I sat with the electrician just this morning. We went over the whole thing. He says, you got a 10% pad in there. That's good. It's an old building. So I'm right on the money with the electrician.
Ron's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He's an honest fellow. You know? But I want his down as a viscum on my guesstimate, because that's what I'm doing with mechanicals, or this guesstimate. The rest of the stuff is not an estimate. I'm quoting what it's worth, and that's what, anybody can tell me all they want, that this is gonna take them 200 hours, when I can't well know, it's only gonna take them 100.
We understand.
Now, you can tell me that, I'm not gonna hire
Well, it's like we're gonna get, is this gonna be all bumped up by the 13th?
you. Oh, yeah.
June? I mean, June, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Technically, my stipulation to the selectmen, if they're going to use this, I am going to make sure that I am in a position, and they will agree to it, they're gonna appoint me, because I'm not charging for the supervision of the awarding of the bid. You don't go with the lowest bidder just because it's the lowest bidder. That's not necessarily what you do. There's some guy with a skill saw in the back of his pickup truck that come in and did just about anything, and you're gonna litigate. I mean,
This is great. They need real numbers as opposed to
They're
the
real.
storybook that they have over there. Good.
so,
Good job, Chairman. Thank you.
oh, no, it's okay. I'm gonna save money in taxes. What you want? So, we got this, let's get back to this. Describe adequately the problems of the building. And maybe you can make it a little bit prosaic and say, something's going to have to be done with this building at some time in the fairly near future, because it's structurally unsound and it is an emergency management shelter, blah, blah. And these options have been explored by the Selectmen, Planning Board, Heritage Committee, and members of the public. And these are the options that they've come up with. Refurbish the existing building, demolish the existing building, and add a bump out, 16 by 26, or replace with a new building.
Good.
Gary, do all three of these numbers that we pulled in here include the ramp?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look,
I just want to make sure that, because I saw that listed out separately. I just
well,
wanna
the
make
new
sure-
one doesn't, the old one doesn't, refurbished doesn't.
Okay, so you're.
There's a handicap ramp there already.
Service
You want to rebuild it? I put Trex down, not Trex, but I put a similar sign.
But is what's there now adequate?
It's legal. Is it adequate? I don't particularly care for it, but you want to replace it? Go to the handicap ramp section, 27,330 something.
Because that's going to add a couple $1,000 to Austin.
If you replace it, well, not necessarily. There's nothing wrong with the framework underneath, because it's pressure treated. You can put Trex on it. Now you can also, because that's itemized as well, go to the handicap ramp, item number 190. And it says, where, 190? Oh, yeah, it does. Handicap ramp, oh no, oh yeah, but there's a breakdown on the handicap ramp, that's just a number, I got a breakdown in the bottom here. Handicap ramp is item 223. I extrapolate the numbers from one breakdown, I don't want to redundantly write the handicap ramp, all that stuff. So here it is, 2x6s, these are the joists, 4x4s are the posts, the hangers are the hangers, 2x6 decking, which is a composite decking. Now that price is $810. So and the decking for that is $52, the screws rather. And then you've got the rail and the rail cap, which is composite. So add those figures up and you can replace the surface of that and make it look brand new without having to change this pressure treated stuff underneath, because that's PT.
So, I don't have an opinion, but if it's something that we would want to, if we do option A, if we would want to do that as well, let's make sure that that's in the number. If it's not something we want to do, then.
Not my call.
we have
You mean to the town, when you send a questionnaire out? That's what you mean?
I don't think we want to ask people when we want to resurface the ramp.
I don't mean that, but I mean, you always send a, refurbish the existing, put the extra 1,200, 1,500 in there.
If that's something we think ought to be done, if we're going to keep the building.
It's not my fault.
My other question would be, can we, if option A does not need to include any changes to the ramp, can we actually use the existing ramp for option B or C as well? And save $12,000?
No, because you'll never rip the building apart without destroying that. You're just gonna go into the dumpster, and you'll rebuild it. That's why it's, I don't know. See, here's my thought. There's enough people on this committee that they can look at this and say, okay, and I'll be sitting there and say, okay, it will cost, I'll get the calculator out, it'll cost $1,622 to refurbish the surface. Do you want to add that to the existing? They really are going to make the call. Not up to me to make the call. As a committee involved here, I'm just giving them the tools to do it with.
Yeah. Okay.
All I want to know is, you've helped me out today. I can go home and try to write this up myself, and what everybody else can do is take these few items, they go home and write it up themselves and see what it looks like. A little contest. Who writes the best thing to the town?
All right.
Whoever writes the best thing gets to count the rings on the wood.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks.
We just don't want to make it too complicated.
Yeah, I think this has to be simple.
A, B, C, that's it. Make your choice.
Well, that's,
You know.
there it is.
And there's going to be people that are going to come with questions like different questions, like they're going to be like, well, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And during the public hearings or whatever,
Right.
people are going to want to know why are these the options.
Right.
But at the end of the day, these are the options.
Right.
And if you want to, have a nicer bathroom, add $1,000 to each of these options, right? You want to crack your bathroom, take $1,000 off, right? But it's going to, you're going to know it's $15,000 difference between option A and option B, no matter what.
I've got a porcelain floor in there and nice fixtures. And really, you could go out and get that waterproof wainscoting beadboard and probably for $150, $200. Wainscot with cherry on the whole nice bathroom. Not a lot of money, but people could. I didn't stop throwing that stuff in here. It doesn't have to be the Taj Mahal, but it can still look really nice.
I think that
Too much detail.
I think that my thought would be that if we can get an answer on A, B, or C, then it's like, okay, well, let's dig down into exactly what we want for the exact options we want to, have for the finish on whatever, or exactly which kind of windows, exactly which kind of fixture, exactly which kind of wall treatment we want, whatever.
We're not going to pick on Collins and Coppins for this thing.
No, we are. I mean, but I think the hard part here is which option, A, B, or C. That's the big decision, because that's going to be plus or minus thousands of dollars.
That's where the chair went through the pains of figuring out what these three options are going to cost. And that's what should be the presentation.
My
Townspeople, we're going to do one of these three things, and this is the value to it.
Yeah.
This is going to affect the taxes. That's enough.
But we don't even know if it's going to affect the taxes, we don't know any.
Well, that's right.
My suggestion is, it's my suspicion, and I probably got to check up on this, but the selectmen could just do option A right now without asking the town one single thing. They can go in there and do the structural work. That they're going to get all that done in the insulation and sheetrock up and run out of heater. They can do that without asking anybody's opinion of anything. Because they have 40 grand in the discretionary spending fund, and that's what it's put there for.
That's possible.
But I don't think that's fair to the people of the town either. But they could do it. There's no need to go to town meeting to get the structural stuff done if they want to refurbish. But you're going to have to if you want to replace, because you can't build it far enough to keep it out of harm's way before it's through the winter. That's my point. You could get A through the winter with no problem. It just wouldn't be finished until the town meeting when they had appropriate funds, but you couldn't get B.
Right.
Or C through the winter.
If
And that's an issue.
You'd have the demo.
Yeah.
Is it your perception that the selectmen are going to have some sort of a hearing before the questionnaire goes out?
You know, I don't know. I'm sure Bill's amenable to that, and so is Rich, and, you know.
Well, Rob is bringing up some good questions that people, you know, if they knew there was a questionnaire coming out, then there should be a presentation before.
Or maybe in conjunction with either send it out and have some sort of public hearing. So before they need to come back, right? As part of the letter, it's like,
Yep.
we're going to go over this. We're going to have a public hearing on this night or this Saturday or whatever it is.
Yeah, that would stimulate the questions.
So it's like setting them up now. In a week, we're going to have a public hearing, and then in another week, we're going to do that or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Good idea.
I think that should be our recommendation, that they absolutely do have it here, once the letters are out in the people's hands.
Either beforehand, during it, or
No, after it's in their hand. Otherwise, they have no reason to come and ask a question, because they have nothing to consider.
So,
Well, I'm gonna have to get water for that.
so option B is the least expensive.
Right.
And if feel that we have to do at least something, and option B is the least expensive, that's our baseline. And so you could actually present option A as costing $15,000. You want to add this much square footage and have it be historic, it's $15,000, right? And the new building is going to be $55,000 or whatever the difference is.
The selectmen can't really do the bump out.
Ignoring how exactly to pay for it, just in terms of the impact to a taxpayer, getting back to Ed's point, how much is this going to cost me? We have to spend at least $46,400. We have to.
No, we don't. We can make it very small, tiny, and spend $37,000.
So that should be option B. We should have the least expensive option as possible as one of the options, or option D. And that should be your baseline. We have to, no matter what, we have to spend.
Well, it would be $39,000 perhaps. The big ticket stuff's gonna be there.
Right,
So you add 4 more feet for $4 more $1,000 maybe. I would give them the option to make it 38 feet for $4,000, but I wouldn't do that. I think that's because there's only somebody that's going to say, make it 8 more feet smaller. I don't need a big bathroom. Brad, and number one, there is something to consider. Brad, it'd be good if you were sitting here because I don't know what the requirements are. Are there any requirements for this?
For what?
Gas?
You need a shower.
We've got to have the shower and a handicapped access bathroom. And the shower has to be handicapped too.
Other than that, though, how about for housing people?
Well, you got a kitchen, you got water, you got
they can
electricity.
sleep on the floor and sleeping bag.
Well, you got cots, we got all kinds of cots
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
and blankets.
So Gary, my recommendation would be maybe either add a fourth option or change option B to be really the true minimum that we need to do. Because that's, I mean, the taxpayers deserve to know sort of what the baseline is. Here's the minimum we can do, and we're going to end up with the least. Right? We're going to not have any, we're going to have just a bathroom, just a utility room, no extra space beyond this room, and it's going to be $35,000, whatever the number comes out.
39.
So call it $40,000. But we can, that's really our baseline, right? We have to spend at least that much, no matter what. Because we have to at least take down the building, we have to have bathrooms. That's the minimum.
It probably would be, the other thing is, you can't go by square footage with profits. Percentages and on profit and overhead percentages, simply because when a job gets too small, it's not worth doing.
I'm not saying, right, but I'm just saying that I think that if we lay out options A, B, and C that way, option B is say $40,000, that's the minimum.
I shouldn't have brought it up, I should have said 46, I should have shut up.
You know this is, you want to give people the...
Well, the truth is we can put it on stilts and save the foundation money, and then when you you drive around the thing, it's sitting there with some lollipops under it, no foundation. That takes away, there's $4 grand more right there.
Let's do that, let's get that.
Then we can do, then if we want, we can go cheap insulation and we don't have to put the other stuff. We can get it down even lower than that.
I think that,
But that's, to me, I think you're counterproductive. You're not giving the town what it needs to get.
well, no, you're making decisions for them. I mean, if,
I'm not giving them, I'm not making any decisions. I'm not offering them something that would be aesthetically ridiculous to put on the back of this building as an option, because there'd be somebody that, I'm not giving them that analysis. They can, if they want to make it themselves, go ahead. I'm not obligated to do it.
How long have you been building buildings?
42 years.
Okay, so.
There is a reason why you chose 26 by 40. Why did you choose that?
Well, 26 by 40 is the existing footprint.
Oh, that is the existing.
That's the
That's
existing
gonna be a
building.
bump out. I did a bump out.
No, the bump out is 26 wide because that happens to be the way the siding stops on the outside of the building. It gets much more costly to start patching in little pieces of siding. So you build 26 wide. Now you could go out 12 feet. You're still going to buy the utilities. You're going to still buy the bathroom. But you're going to have 12 feet. For the extra framing lumber and stuff, but it's not a lot of money. Yeah, it's the bare minimum, but if you want to get it right now, you can get it down to a jerk work figure. I'm not wasting the time on it. I'll let the town know what's way through that. I don't feel, because I feel there's too many people out there saying, I don't want to pay no more tax, I don't care what you put up there, put paper on the check. They're not getting my brain for that. It's the way it is. And I'm not out there.
So what I'm saying is, through your experience, you're telling me that you would not make it any smaller than that.
No.
You're saying it's
It
not.
would look silly in the back of this building. I think you have to consider aesthetics. 12 feet bump out in the back, this would be a little small. 16 at least would look reasonable.
What are you talking
And it
about?
would be functional. There would be other things you could do with it besides have a bathroom and a utility room, which we do use it for now.
So the design of things 26 by 16 is usually.
In my opinion, it is, and I am not obligated to offer anything. Let somebody else wants to come up with it, they can figure it out. Go ahead.
Well, if you made it half the size, it would be half the price. Is that easy?
No, it's not that way. No, because who's going to build it? A contractor's, let's see here. Number one, if you get to a point where a contractor's going to come in, a reputable contractor, who's going to come in and he's going to say, contractor's fee $59.89. I don't work for less than that. I'm not interested in a job. I'm going to make $2,000 after I pay the help. Of course, there's labor figured in other ways, and if he doesn't do it with his own hands, he's got to hire it out. I use a very liberal figure of $40 per hour, and other stuff actually. Some of it's by the square foot, depending on industry standards. But I don't feel that I'm obligated to tell everybody the cheapest possible way to get it done. I don't feel it. So because I don't think it's aesthetically pleasing, I don't think it's good for the town.
So if you did make it half the size and half of that foundation, would have to come out, you have to pour another foundation.
We're going to pour a foundation anyway, unless you put it on stilts. Now you can put it on lolly columns with a footing on the ground and save all that money. Now you can do that, that will save money.
Well, a lot of people would say, if I was a tax collector, I would say, what's the building that we use for now? And people never even, I know people don't even know the building that's even here.
You get a vote.
So, I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying to question, you did come up with that.
I came up with 16 by 26 I feel is a cutoff point width. That's what's existing there, and the siding comes up to those points. And if you make it smaller, you have to rip the siding off, the old siding off the back of the townhouse in that alcove. And throw it away and get new stuff. Because otherwise you're going to have a strip of siding with a cut line, whatever, it's 2 feet or 4 feet wide.
So you're trying to maintain the same way.
Yeah, and the roof, the tie-in is right there, the siding goes up the roof. I mean, it will be the least economical way to do that, is to keep it 26 feet wide. It would cost more, it's actually 25 something, but it would cost more money to try to shrink it in width than it would be worth doing. For an 18-foot truss, it isn't a whole lot less than for a 26-foot truss, is my point.
Well, I'm bringing this up because if somebody did say, why can't you make it half the size, I think that you have to
You
have
could
it
make it,
quality.
you probably could make it 8 feet out. probably, and put the bathroom on the right, utility room on the left, where it's small, I don't know about that either, because the door is where it is, and that's an issue. But you probably can make it work. This is the other problem, you know what has to be done. That could be expanded, that door in size, and needs to be for handicap access. And it will never, it could be done so it would look like it was built that way.
8 by 16 with a shed roof.
You could do a shed roof. That would be less money. But you really can't do a shed roof.
And stilts.
Because the building doesn't line up that way. You got a gable and a gable. If you have a shed roof, it sticks out like this. You see what I mean? It can't. Wouldn't make sense. So you have to put another gable on the back of that. You could go out 8 feet.
Let's present the 26 by 16, and at the selectmen meeting, Rob can bring up a minimum size.
For an emergency shelter, where how many families in town, wouldn't we need that space back there?
Well, you mean if we had a nuclear bomb go off? I don't know. Everybody in the house.
If
You
we-
talking about a tornado?
If we took an option and made it smaller, we're not gonna have that space for an
No, it
emergency.
won't be.
What about shelter in place?
I think a lot of people will, but if you don't have a generator, you don't have heat, you know, or you're
Yeah.
elderly, you're gonna wanna get, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna wanna get someplace else. You know, I'd probably stay home, I got a generator,
Go
I'm
to
gonna
the
go all
house.
the way.
We'll go
No, you're right. We had the ice storm. It was a 2-week disaster. Remember that?
Right.
We're out of power for over a week.
Well, I think a lot of people start out with generators and run out of fuel.
Yeah, if the mobile station or whatever doesn't have power, they can't pump gas, I mean, you know.
It would look something
starts
like
to go.
Well, we've tried to address that before. To require the gas stations to have a switching system where if FEMA brought in a generator, they could then pump gas.
If
But
I
the
had,
government doesn't want to approach the gas companies to ask them to do it or to
if I had a
require it.
gas station, I would be set up with a generator, so that I could, you
Yeah.
know, keep selling, stay open.
You do it anyway, sure.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, of course you would.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, they have the Visa card readers and stuff, and they're getting that one here, and that's the one.
They won't.
So they take cash, so, I mean,
Yeah. This is about the difference in appearance.
that's up.
This is the bump out. This is the bump out at 16 feet. This is the bump out at 12. This is about to scale. But this is about what we have here. That's pretty much the difference in appearance. This would be this would be the other one, and this is what we got. Or the refurbished. This would be probably maybe 12 feet.
The smaller the addition, the more parking you get, right?
Yeah. Let me make a suggestion. Go back with that building over there.
Theoretically,
It's ready to go.
if we had a disaster on the seacoast, we could be hosting people here from the seacoast,
Yeah.
theoretically. God
Our
knows.
case saying that it's forcing.
Well, or the nuclear plant goes critical,
I was hoping for something that is,
you know.
we'd fall out of it.
So we're good with 3 options, not 4. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and I have to redo this one thing. This last one, I'm going to take $1,200 off of that foundation.
Well, I'm pretty happy with what you're going with, Gary. I'd be happier if we had sort of a minimal cost or lower, you know, like maybe if 12 feet would suffice, rather than 16, I'd rather see like that, you know, the aesthetics, assuming the aesthetics are acceptable or anything else, I'd rather see sort of one of our options be, here's the minimum we ought to spend at least this much because the things fall in that. We have to have a workable bathroom, we have to have workable access. This is what we need. And then the other ones are just, okay, how much more, you know, option A is probably, I guess that's what we're going to go with, and that's, you know, an extra $20,000, right? $20,000 to have that much extra square footage, it's like sort of no-brainer. And you have a nice schoolhouse look and
Yep.
feel, and I mean,
Storage there, can storage in the house, or storage on the top.
Hey,
will we have storage on option refurbished? Or we gonna have storage in the attic?
No storage.
It's only if we do new trusses, right? Or new.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can get up there, but actually, that's not true. But we'd have to spend some money. I'll explain it. Not a lot of money, though. The issue is insulation. Number one, there are no trusses up. The way this thing is built, I don't understand how those guys came up with this. The way that thing is built is, there's two trusses. The trusses are 8 feet apart. And there's 9 feet apart. When two of them near each other, they're 9 feet with nothing. And they really need to be installed, trusses. And those aren't really trusses. What they throw up there is 1x1. But to do that, they have 2x4s going across the ceiling. They're hooked up. And the homes don't stay up, so that's why the ceiling does this. Refurbishing replaces most of that. Now, with a 2x6 bottom cord to the truss, which is the bottom member that goes across, there's no room for insulation if you're going to put an attic floor. If you're not going to put an attic floor, then the insulation just stacks up. But if you put an attic floor, now you've got to use a 2x8 or 2x10 to get an R39. And you've got to be stabbed on edge so that you have 18 inches between the floor and the attic and the sheetrock below. So you're going to buy that much fragment lumber, and you're probably talking $1,000 plus plywood for another $300 or $400. So you'd probably be up to $1,500 to $2,000 to put an attic up there because there's labor involved. Not a whole lot, because you're going to be putting something up there anyway. It's just going to be bigger, thicker, heavier, but not a big deal. I mean, 2x10 versus 2x6. So, you know, a couple of grand gives you attic storage up there to a degree. Now, there's some of that stuff that's up there if you look. If you go and look up there, the old schoolhouse had a shallow pitch roof and there's these big timbers sticking up with nothing on them. And they just built this new roof up there with 1x10s, 1x6s or 8s. So those things you can't rip out of there because they're part of the beams that tie the walls together. And it's all joinery work with these things sticking up. So you have to work around them with flooring in the attic. You wouldn't be able to just have a big giant opening floor. I mean, you see what, if you went up there with a light, you say, oh yeah, I got you. They've been all through it. I have to be careful. Can I be careful? I go to the homes so too much. We come through the homes. Anyway, this is it. No. It's just, who wants to take a crack at this? Everybody?
Let's
have an essay. I wasn't going to think of this. You guys, you help me out. I told you this. Yeah. I know you're mad at me.
I'm not mad.